Hi, my name is Nate. I'm 23 and I can hardly live a day without music. Music has been a part of my life since early childhood. My father plays piano and my mother is a composer. I like looking at them working together. The moment that I enjoy the most is when they create new sounds. I have never seen or heard anything better than that. The hardest decision I had ever made was when I had to choose the main musical instrument I was going to play during my life. We had plenty of arguments. My father insisted that I had to choose the piano. My mother tried to persuade me to select the violin, but I picked the simplest and most inspiring instrument for me, the guitar. Yes, the guitar. My mom and dad were angry because they thought that nothing could be better than classical music. Well, my choice was closer to pop music. Finally, they agreed with me because it was my life and my decision. So they bought a guitar for me. I loved it. I learned to play it days and nights long. Every day I tried to create something new, something that would reflect me, my vision of life. I never regretted choosing the guitar. I felt it was the right thing to do. When I graduated from college, I decided it was time to introduce my music to the world. I became a street musician. I guess you understand that my parents were not happy about this decision either. But despite all their protests, I kept playing my guitar. People liked it. When I was playing, the crowd was gathering around me. It was so cool to realize that people liked what I was doing. About 6 months later, 2 men came up to me after my performance. They said they were producers from the local radio station and that they really liked my music. They offered me to record a couple of songs at their studio. I was beyond happy. My work had been noticed by some influential people, and that was exactly what I needed at the time. I agreed for collaboration. Everything was good. We recorded 9 songs that I had written while I was still at college. The entire process took about 4 weeks. The guys I worked with on my songs told me that I had a great talent. They promised that I would become popular very fast. I wasn't very confident in myself, but during this month we became friends, and I thought I could believe them. The release of my album was scheduled for February 17th. I waited for that day more than for my birthday. On day X, I opened iTunes and saw my album. It was also uploaded on YouTube. I was very happy until the moment my dad asked me who was Paul Nashville. I said that I didn't know that. But he told me that Paul Nashville was stated as the author of the album. I could not believe my eyes, but maybe that was a mistake. I made plenty of calls to the studio, but no one answered. We went to the place where the studio was located, but it was closed. I didn't know what to do. Then, my dad asked me what the name of the main producer was. I said that it was Greg McAllen. When my father heard that name, he was furious. He told me that they had worked together when they were young, but then stopped because Greg turned out to be dishonest. My father called the police and explained the situation. However, the police couldn't prove that Greg had violated the law in any way. Then my dad said he had lots of evidence from the past, which could help them to investigate the case and arrest the man. When the police had all the fact they needed, we all together went to Greg's house. He was arrested, but said that the whole story was false. However, when he saw my father and me, he understood everything. Soon after that, I learned that I wasn't the only one he lied to. There were many talented boys and girls who suffered from his actions. Greg and his entire team went to prison. The situation was resolved, but I had one more problem. My music became extremely popular. Over 1 million people downloaded my album. I didn't think it was a good idea to remove the album and then upload it again under my own name. Instead, I decided to use the name of Paul Nashville as a nickname. So when people ask me why I have chosen this name, I usually tell them this funny story. What is your hobby, my dear friends? Leave your comments. If you've enjoyed this story, please click the like button.
Hi, my name is Emily. I am a daughter of a very rich and influential businessman, Lenny Black. Our family is famous for being the first producer of fuel for vehicles. This has helped my family to become one of the wealthiest and most powerful families in Texas. Since early childhood, I was surrounded with maids and security guards. I didn't have any friends, and I was homeschooled. The only friend I had was my math teacher, Sonny, who was a cheerful and smart person. He used to tell me life stories, and I always wanted to be a character of at least one of those, because his stories described the lives of ordinary, very interesting people, while I was surrounded by really dull, wealthy adults and their boring kids, and that was not something I was attracted to. Time passed, and I turned 17. I had never left the city I had been born to, and even the territory of our estate. My father was afraid of his business competitors, who could do harm to me. I understood that he did that for my own good, but deep in my soul, I wanted to be free. After lots of arguments, my father allowed me to visit the neighboring city. I dreamt of seeing something new, and even such a short trip was like a real adventure for me. I was accompanied by my friend, who is also my bodyguard, Charlie. Charlie always knew what I wanted and sometimes helped me to go out, keeping this as a secret from my parents. We hit the road. It was interesting and simply pleasant to spend some time in a completely new place without being followed by a group of bodyguards. When I got hungry, Charlie and I went to the closest cafe where I met Sunny, my math teacher, who I considered a friend. I was very glad to see him. He was still the same person, funny and intelligent. We decided to have lunch together. As we hadn't met for many years, he had plenty of new stories to tell me. I hadn't laughed so much and so sincerely for a really long time. Suddenly, he stood up and said that he wanted to show me his native city, the most amazing places in it. Of course, I agreed to that. We visited a museum of new technologies, a zoo, and even played mini golf. Everything was perfect. Then he invited us to his house and said his wife was already cooking a turkey with a ginger sauce for us. His house was located on the outskirts of the city. It took us a half of an hour to get there, and it was getting dark already. When we entered the house, I saw a silhouette of a stranger in the darkness. Then, someone pressed a wet cloth to my face and I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I realized that I was sitting on a chair in Sunny's house, and I was tied. I also noticed Charlie laying in front of me. He was beaten and unconscious. 3 people were standing behind him, Sunny and 2 other men, whom I had never seen before. Sunny said, "Forgive me, Emily. It isn't what I wanted to do, but I have no choice." The man standing next to him said that they had already sent a ransom message to my parents. Everything was clear now. My old friend betrayed me. I felt awful, but I could do nothing about it. The ransom had to be paid early in the morning, and I had to sit there waiting and looking at Charlie, who suffered because of me. I was angry and shouting, trying to find out why Sunny had done that to me. Finally, he answered. He said he was very poor and had to borrow money from some bad people. When the sum of his loan got too big, he was given a short period of time to repay it. And fortunately for him, and unfortunately for me, I decided to have a taste of freedom and took just 1 bodyguard with me. So Sunny called the gangsters to kidnap me. Time went on, and soon the day was breaking. I was half asleep and couldn't understand anything when I heard some noise. Sunny ran into the room and untied me. He said that I had to take Charlie and rushed to the back door out. Sunny said that he had been able to knock out the other men, and we had only a minute. Charlie and I ran to the back door. Sunny followed us, trying to cover us, but the gangsters caught him. I was too frightened to move, but he shouted at me and I ran. We got out of the house and saw the police coming. It was Sunny who called them. My parents were with the policeman. When Charlie and I were safe, the police went for Sunny. About 20 minutes passed, but nothing happened. Then one of the policemen received a message that the gangsters were arrested. Sunny was injured, but alive. I could finally relax. A week later, I went to the hospital to visit Sunny. He had a few broken bones, but generally was okay. I wanted to apologize to him, but he stopped me and said it was all his fault. I laughed loudly and said that we had our own story now. He smiled at me and we kept talking as it had always been. Of course, when Sunny was discharged from the hospital, he went to jail. But the fact that he had saved me and Charlie and called the police helped to reduce the term he had to spend in the cell to a minimum. Since then, my father considered our friendship with Sunny safe because he didn't believe Sunny would want to put me in danger again. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Hi, my name is Erica, and I had to spend a whole week with a stranger once. My family is quite ordinary, and we live in Seattle. My mom and dad opened their own pizza shop 8 years ago, and since then, it has been a family business. I used to often come to the pizza shop after school and help my parents. I used to always chat with customers and tell them about our pizza. Our pizza shop used to be famous for an incredible sauce for pepperoni pizza, and the secret ingredient of this sauce was something that all our competitors wanted to know. One day, we received a letter stating that the land plot our pizza shop was located on was to be bought by a large company and that my parents had to close their business. I could not believe what I heard. To correct the situation, my parents went to another city, to the director of the company, in order to resolve this problem. All this happened in a rush, and my parents had to ask my uncle, whom I had never seen, to look after me. I was scared. He could be a drunkard or a rude man. It was also probable that he didn't like kids. What if I haven't seen him because he never wanted to contact with my family? All these thoughts kept me awake, and the night lasted very long. The next day, being sleepy, I went to the kitchen to have breakfast and saw an unfamiliar man. He was staring at me. As it turned out, the man was my Uncle Henry. My parents have already left, and I felt confused and scared, not knowing how to start a conversation. He frowned and said, "Hi, Erica. I'm Henry. Here's your breakfast." After these words, he went to the living room to watch TV. I thought, he didn't even ask how old I was, what school I attended. Apparently, he didn't care about me. What a rude person he was. This lasted for several days. We rarely spoke, and I could not understand what to do at home. Each time our eyes met, I felt awkward. He was looking through me with empty eyes. But the most awful moment happened on the 5th day of his stay at our place. I returned from school and wanted to watch TV. I felt tired and jumped onto the sofa. At this moment, I heard a cracking noise. Feeling scared, I looked under me and saw my uncle's mobile phone. It was broken. I didn't know what to do. Panic seized me. At that very moment, my uncle entered the room and saw everything. He got angry, yelled at me, and told me to go to my room. I burst into tears on my bed. A few minutes later, he knocked on my door and asked me if he could come in. I didn't reply. He opened the door and entered. He came up to me, gave me a tissue to wipe off my tears, and apologized. He told me that he wasn't really angry with me. Instead, he was angry with my father. Uncle Henry told me a story that had happened to him and my father when they were students. My father and Uncle Henry loved pizza. They used to spend a lot of time cooking. Each time, they used to try something new and wanted to create more and more new kinds of pizza. Once, Uncle Henry made a mistake and added a wrong seasoning into the sauce. Uncle was worried but didn't say anything as he decided to see what happened. To his surprise, customers loved the new sauce. My father and Uncle Henry also tried it and realized that it was the most delicious sauce they had ever eaten. Then Uncle Henry confessed that he added oregano to the sauce. My father realized that this sauce would be perfect for pepperoni pizza. That was how the legendary pepperoni oregano pizza appeared in Seattle. They began to reap the rewards of success. Everyone around discussed this incredible new pizza, but the success was followed with disagreement. My dad and Uncle Henry couldn't divide the merits. My father was the one who bought all the ingredients, including oregano, and he insisted that it was just a matter of time that he would add it to the sauce. Finally, Uncle Henry got tired of disputes and moved to another city, while my father stayed and kept running the business. Uncle Henry made an attempt to start his own pizza business, but the pepperoni oregano fame stayed with Seattle. When the story was over, I understood why Uncle Henry was so upset and didn't want to spend time at our place. A couple of days later, my parents returned with bad news. We were not able to get our place back. The pizza shop was lost. However, I couldn't let it end like this. Uncle Henry was going to leave when I stopped him. I took him and my father to the living room and said, "Dad, you and Uncle Henry should not be enemies. You are brothers. It is not important who created that sauce. It is important that people love it. You both can invest in a new business at a new place, and I'm sure we will be successful. The most important is to be together." My words helped my father and Uncle Henry to understand that family was the most important thing. That's how we started everything from the very beginning. Of course, we had fewer customers, but we were happy. Take care of your beloved ones because they can help you promote your business. Please, click the like button, leave your comments, and subscribe to our channel.